Radio Calling, the podcast dedicated to sports and music. Today is Thursday, and it is Music Day here. Today's topic is Prince. Not only what he did for the guitar, but as a music icon and what he did to the music business. First of all, I need to take care of some business from last week. During one of my episodes, one of my listeners brought to my attention that Cadillac Records is the movie about Chess Records. Chess Records is the music label that Chuck Berry was under, Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Etta James, all those people. They are based out of Chicago, which Cadillac Records is about the music business of Chess Records. So I just wanted to make sure that I cleared that up before I went forward. I know I kept on saying Cadillac Records, and going back and listening to it, I meant Chess Records. So anyways, to continue, Wednesday was the 5-year anniversary of the death of Levon Helm of the band. If you don't know who the band are, they are a fabulous band from the late 60s, early 70s, throughout the 70s and into the 80s. But they are a Canadian-American band that had the lineup of Rick Danko on bass, Garth Huston on keyboards, Richard Manuel on piano, Robbie Robertson on guitar, and Levon Helm on drums. Now, Levon Helm is one of the first people that I actually recognized that played the drums and also sang at the same time, which is, if you're a drummer, is very hard to do, and it's very hard to, keep your pitch in with the song while you're playing drums. And that was one of the things where I have only seen, Ringo Starr was the only person that I knew of at the time that actually could play drums and sing at the same time. But Ringo only did it once every album. Levon did it every other song, or he would sing at least in some shape or form on every song that the band put out. I mean, he was very multi-talented. He played mandolin, he played guitar. He also, the main one was the drums, but he could play anything, and he's one of those people that when you hear him, you know that it's Levon, and you recognize that it's a band song. He really inspired me to try to play the drums and sing at the same time. I've tried it before. I can't really do it like he does, and that's one of the things that made him unique. He was so smooth on how he played the drums, and his style of drumming was very different from Ringo Starr or some other the people that are kind of associated with rock music. He kind of made it his own, and he played different things most people don't associate to do for a rock song, which made him unique. And that's one of the reasons why he's one of my favorite drummers of all time. He cracks the top 10 in my list. But after the band split up, he toured with Ringo Starr's All-Star Band that had Clarence Clemens in it, and Nils Lofgren, those people. Joe Walsh was in that band for a while, so he toured with them a while, and then he went solo for a while, and then he got throat cancer, I believe. And that really struck me as a blow, because when I heard that he had throat cancer, I thought, oh no, this is not going to end well. He can't sing anymore, and that's one of the voices that I love to hear is his voice. And then he's battling cancer, and then he kind of beats cancer. Well, he doesn't beat it, but it goes away for a while, and he releases another album, and it wins a Grammy, I believe, or it wins some sort of award, and it's just fabulous. And he's back on tour. He's got a new band. He's doing old band songs along with this new material, and he opens up this farm, the Levon. I can't think of the name actually at the moment, but he opens up this farm that it's kind of a jam session for other people to come and play different music and play and just listen to music, and fans could come there. They could pay a fee and go there. But then he gets cancer again, and I heard the news, that he wasn't doing well. He was fighting cancer again, and I thought this could be it. And then 2 days later, he passes away, and it's just sad that he's gone, and cancer is just taking another person, and it's terrible. But there is a wonderful documentary on Netflix, Ain't In It For My Health. It depicts all about Levon in his late stages of cancer and how he went through treatments to get his voice to where it used to be, or try to at least. And he there would be times where he would go out on stage and he would have no voice, and then there was other times where he would be perfect and his voice wouldn't change at all. And it's a wonderful documentary. You need to look at it. Um, and I just want to say that it's a sad loss that we lost Levon when we did, and it's just I can't believe it's been 5 years already. It just seems like yesterday that we lost him, and then that he's passed away. Speaking of people that have passed away, Friday will mark the 1 year anniversary of us losing Prince. I still remember where I was when I heard the news that Prince had died. I was in Oklahoma. I was at my office, and my buddy Tim, my good buddy Tim, him and I have this bond where we always tell each other, this person died. This person died. Can you believe this person died? And it's either me texting him that, or him texting me that. And when I think he texted me, dude, Prince just died, and it it hit me right in the chest. Like, no way, this can't be true. This has got to be a hoax. So of course, Googled his name right away, Prince, and there it was. CNN broke the story. Prince passed away, and I was devastated. Prince is one of those people that you admire the way that he works and the style that he does things, and his style of clothing was just so unique and so Prince. And he has his own color, for God's sakes. Purple is now associated with Prince, which I think we put that somewhere. Can someone just make that like a national Prince thing? Like, just someone mark it down. Purple Prince. Put it down somewhere. Let's just do that. That I think that's a good way to honor Prince, because no one looks at the color purple and thinks, oh, that looks like something else. No, we just automatically think purple Prince. Anyways, when I heard the news, I was really devastated. Immediately, I went and watched Purple Rain, and I hadn't seen it in a long time. And to to watch it now after he's passed, it takes a new meaning. Like all movies and albums do when someone passes away. They all take new meaning, and it's one of those things where Purple Rain was put out in 1984, right in the middle of hair metal and Poison and Motley Crue and all that stuff. And Prince put out Purple Rain. He played most of the instruments on that record, and the self-titled song Purple Rain is a live recording, which I didn't. Well, I kind of knew it was a live recording because you can hear crowd noises and stuff like that in the background. But I always thought it was from the movie Purple Rain, like that was the actual song that they were playing at the time. But I found out that recording of Purple Rain, the live recording, is the first time Prince played Purple Rain live. And there's a couple lyrics that are missing from the master recording that Prince xed out and took out of that. But right after his death, a lot of people were putting stuff on YouTube because Prince was very against YouTube and putting stuff on YouTube. So a lot of people were putting stuff on YouTube, a bunch of songs, a bunch of live performances, stuff like that. And I actually found the original first debut of Purple Rain, and it's about 11 minutes long, and I think the actual song is about 8 minutes or so. But to listen to it entirely uncut and nothing xed out, it's really 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 good, and I actually saved that video so I can watch it when I can. And it's just one of those things where you listen to Purple Rain, the album, and it changes your life. And I remember when I started my record collection, that was one of the things that I found right away was Purple Rain, and I couldn't believe someone would, trade in Purple Rain. But I had it for months. Months turned into years, and I never listened to it. And then one day, I put it on because I felt like I needed to listen to it just all the way through. And I wasn't really the biggest Prince fan. I knew his major hits, Let's Go Crazy, Controversy, 1999, stuff of that nature. But I had never listened to one of his albums all the way through. And this is the only album that I've listened to all the way through of Prince's. It blew my mind the way he sang, the way he put songs together, the way he played music, and to think that he did all of this mostly by himself is just amazing. And I'm someone that, I pick up an instrument and I can play it by ear, but he was harmonizing with himself. He was playing things backwards. He was doing all this stuff, and it's just you can see where his influence were. A lot of it's Curtis Mayfield, and a bunch of it's you watch him live, and a bunch of it's James Brown. You can tell that James Brown was a big influence on him and how he uh, arranged his horns, how the horns played for Prince. That's all James Brown. he, and then when he passed away, it was just one of those things where it's just like, oh god, I can't believe that he passed away. And to think that it was an accidental overdose, just, oh god, that killed me so much to know that. And it's one of those things where I could see where it was coming from. He was in a lot of pain. He had a lot of foot and back pain because he was wearing high heels since the 80s, which, that would give me back pain too. I mean, geez, you wearing them that long and doing the splits and jumping up and down, and that's got to wear on your body. And you could see that it was starting to take a toll on him. And I remember, a couple days before he died, he was supposed to do a show in Chicago, I believe, or close to Chicago, and they had to make an emergency landing because he wasn't feeling good, and he started to get ill, and then he was admitted to a hospital, and he checked out of the hospital the next day, and he was fine, and then a couple days later, they found him in an elevator, and he had died. It's just really really sad. So I still can't believe it's been a year. Like, again, it feels like it's just yesterday I got the news that he had passed away. One of my favorite all-time Prince guitar solos. Prince was amazing on so many different songs that he'd put out, or he got collaborated on putting solos together, and how he worked the guitar and what notes he put together. Um, it's a weird lineup. First of all, it's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers with Jeff Lynne, Danny Harrison, George Harrison's son, and then it's Prince. It's a weird lineup because you don't think Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty. Okay, that's Traveling Wilburys. Danny Harrison, that's George Harris's son, again, Traveling Wilburys, and then Prince. How does that come together? But they play "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," and Prince just kills the song. I mean, he's doing things you see Hendrix do, which I will get to later. He was big into Hendrix. You could tell that his influence was Hendrix, but he's doing dive bombs. He's making different noises, and he's in the moment. And that's one of the things where you could tell Prince was always in the moment. And when he was in the groove, he was in a groove, and you could tell that in his face, his body language, how what notes he was playing. It's just, you need to Google that. It's on YouTube. If it's not on YouTube, you can find it anywhere. Everybody has reposted it and said that it's one of the greatest tributes to a person ever. And it's all Prince. Prince makes that whole song so much better. I mean, nothing against Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, and Danny Harrison. I love all of them. They are great artists, but Prince really brings the house down with that performance, and it's just one of those things that we should put that on his tombstone. That transcribe all those notes, put it on his tombstone, or wherever he's buried or cremated or whatever. We need to put that somewhere. Speaking of solos, Purple Rain is probably one of my favorite guitar solos of all time. I know I just said While My Guitar Gently Weeps is one of them, but this ranks up there with them as well. And of course, it's another Prince song. Of all the people that I like, Prince is one of those people that I try to imitate on the guitar, even though I'm not the greatest guitarist. I try to play some of his notes, but Purple Rain is one of those songs that I love to play. I love to just play that riff over and over again, and I won't get sick of it at all. I will play that for hours. I will tell you, I won't get sick of it. I could play that so many different ways. And the solo, it just, you don't really see it coming when you listen to that song, and then all of a sudden, just boom, solo. And it grabs you, and it takes you on this journey, and you can just tell it in his face that he's playing his soul out of every note that he's hitting in that solo. And again, if you haven't listened to Purple Rain, the whole album, you need to listen to the whole album of Purple Rain, because It ranks up there as one of the top 100 albums of all time by Rolling Stone. And to end an album with Purple Rain, the song, it's just amazing and it's good closure for an album. Now, I mentioned it before, but I believe the main people that influenced Prince were one, Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder played many instruments like Prince did, uh, guitar, bass, drums, piano, all blind too, which I couldn't even imagine playing. Well, I close my eyes from time to time when I drum, but to play bass and to play piano and all that stuff blind, it's amazing. And so number one, Stevie Wonder. Number two, James Brown. You can see that in a lot of his funky type songs. You can see his influence when he's on stage doing his dancing, and the horn section that he would have are very influenced by James Brown. And then number three, you can probably tell this by his guitar work, is Jimi Hendrix. And Lemmy Kilmister, who was the front man for Motorhead, used to be a roadie for Jimi Hendrix. He used to score acid for Jimi Hendrix, and someone asked him once, "What do you think of Prince?" And without batting an eye, he said, "Oh, I already seen Jimi Hendrix," which made me laugh because Prince and Jimi Hendrix are very similar and they're very different at the same time. Jimi Hendrix was more into psychedelic rock, where Prince was more into funk. Granted, you can see that Prince has taken a lot of ways that Jimi Hendrix would play guitar, and he's made it his own. But um, you can tell there's an influence there, and one of the evidence that Prince was very influenced by Jimi Hendrix is he went on Ellen DeGeneres and he played Crimson and Clover off his one of his albums that he had done. He had covered the Tommy James and the Shondells Crimson and Clover, and in the middle of it, he switches and goes into a couple bars of Wild Thing, and he plays it just the way, well, close to the way Jimi Hendrix used to play Wild Thing when he played it at Monterey Pop, and then he did it after that. He did it at the Isle of Wight Festival, I believe, as well. But that's how you can tell that Jimi Hendrix was an influence on Prince, and how he just switches on a dime, goes into Wild Thing, and then plays Wild Thing like Hendrix did. It's just you can see his influence, and I love when people pay homage to their influence. You see Michael Jackson pay homage to James Brown. You see Jimi Hendrix paying homage to Curtis Mayfield. Rolling Stones paying homage to Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters by bringing them up. Eric Clapton did the same thing with Muddy Waters, uh, and then he played with BB King. And you see John Mayer is one of those people that you see will play with BB King, Eric Clapton, and then he'll cover Stevie Ray Vaughan because those are his influence. And I love when people that are big stars like this that don't shy away from their roots, and they pay homage to what got them started in music in the first place. And you see that with a lot of people. You see that in a lot of their concerts. They will, switch on a dime and they'll break out a country cover, or they'll play Chuck Berry or something from the 50s rock. Stuff that influenced them to pick up guitar because they don't want the their influences to go away, and they don't want their music to die or people to forget that this great music is out there, and they want to bring new fans to this music. And that's how I started listening to the blues because there's this wonderful person on Instagram. His name is Charlie Hicks, who is a very very into the Delta blues, and he loves very raw and dirty Delta blues, and he's very into Johnny Winter, Howlin' Wolf, Robert Johnson, but he's big into Charlie Patton, and he has Charlie Patton's face on the top of his hand. And when I saw this, I thought it was Robert Johnson when I looked at it because he showed it in one of his videos, and I thought, oh, that's Robert Johnson, and then he later said, no, this is Charlie Patton. This is one of my influences, and I want to. He's dedicated a lot of his albums to covering Charlie Patton's music because he wants, like I said, he wants people to recognize that this music is out there and to appreciate this music. And you really need to go look at him if you have Instagram. His name is Charlie Hicks, Charley Hicks, and he is just a great talent from England, which of all places you can see again. England has a great knowledge of United States Delta blues and stuff like that. So you need to check him out. But the last influence Prince took was a lot in his later years is Bruce Springsteen, and it's documented that Prince liked how Bruce would just audible mid concert, change everything up, keep the band on his toes, and play a different song or cover a song or go completely off from what the set list says and do something obscure and something that he doesn't play often. And Prince saw this and he liked the way that it kept the band on its toes, kept him on his toes to remember how to play this, and that's one of his Prince is one of his influences. And then when Prince died, I thought it was a great tribute. Bruce covered Purple Rain and made it his own, as all the people when they cover other people's music, they make it their own. But I never thought I would see Bruce Springsteen singing a Prince song, and he sang Purple Rain like it was one of his own. And Nils Lofgren played the solo on it and just killed it. And you got to look at it. It's on YouTube. It's on Bruce Springsteen's YouTube. He played it during his River tour, this past tour, and he did it a couple times. I mean, there were several people that had passed away on that tour, and it's terrible to think that these people have passed away. David Bowie passed away while Bruce was on tour, so Bruce covered Rebel Rebel, and the relationship between David Bowie and Bruce Springsteen was fabulous. David Bowie covered "It's Hard to Be a Saint in the City" on one of his albums, and that was one of the first songs that was covered by someone that was Bruce Springsteen's. And then Glenn Frey had passed away as well, and Bruce came out and sang "Take It Easy," and again made it his own. And then Prince passed away too, and then he went out and uh, played Purple Rain. And when I think about this, a lot of people have passed away while Bruce has been on tour. And Levon Helm was another one. Bruce came out and played the weight. But going back to Prince, he's one of those people that he was inspired by so many, and then he inspired a generation, and then my generation to see that there's a different way to look at music, and there's a different way to play instruments, and there's a different way to sing and harmonize with yourself. And there's all these different instances. Jack White is one of those people where I think he was influenced by Prince, starting his own record company, making his own records because he wanted to bridge that gap between people that are of different generations. And I think that's one of the things where you see a lot of people that, like I said this before, that pay homage to their roots, and they also want to bridge the gap between fans of today and fans of yesterday, where you can find common ground of both and really bond over this music. And Prince was one of those people where, my parents were into Prince, and I got my friends into Prince because I listened to it so much. And I do that with so many artists. I couldn't name you all the artists, but I like to bridge that gap again. I like to make sure that this music doesn't go away, and that this art form and this admire for music doesn't fade away. And one of the newer bands that have come up in the past 3 or 4 years that very influenced by Prince, and they've said they're very influenced by Prince, is Alabama Shakes. Their second album, Sound and Color, you can tell that Prince influenced them so much, and the way that they sing and the way that they harmonize and the way that they put different songs together, it sounds like something Prince would do or something Prince would produce. And might I add, there are so many songs that Prince has either produced or written that he's given to other people. And I can't even list them all because I don't even know them all. I mean, you listen to some of these songs and you think, oh, is that a Prince song? And then you do some research. It is a Prince song, and it's crazy to think that he's not only a wonderful guitarist, a wonderful musician, a wonderful singer, but he's also a great lyricist. And to think that he's giving other people his songs is amazing. Manic Monday by the Bangles is probably one of my favorite songs. I've never listened to anything other than that song by the Bangles. And the way that song's put together and the way it sounds, and I would love to hear how Prince would have sang that song and how he would have produced that song. And no, that's one of the things where the Prince estate has stated that Prince has vaults and vaults and vaults of songs that he's never put out, unreleased things, different versions of stuff, and I really hope that they put out something for Prince, or they put out a couple albums that are just unreleased songs or different variations of songs, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that would love to hear all these songs. Like I said before, Prince put out so many different songs that weren't his, that were put out by different artists, and to hear him sing his own songs would just be a treat, and I would love to hear that. But going back to Alabama Shakes, you need to look at Alabama Shakes. They are a great soul rock type band with a little bit of funk in there that have really come up in the past 3 or 4 years, and they have a female singer, which she is fabulous. I don't even know who she sounds like. She sounds kind of like a mixture of Etta James, Joe Cocker, a little bit of Prince, and a little bit of Janis Joplin, and she can play guitar as well. And she's a fabulous talent, and I love listening to her voice. And she really makes that band her own, and give props to her. I mean, the band backing her, it's not just her in front of this band, but the band backing her is very R&B based, and they play a lot of soulful licks and stuff like that. But they also can play a lot of rock songs, and their two album they have 2 albums out. Boys and Girls was released I believe 5 years ago, and their most recent album is called Sound and Color. Both of those you need to look at. They're great albums. I love this band so much, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for them. But you see another band that is influenced by Prince, and Prince has influenced so many people. He's influenced me. He's influenced how I play guitar, how I put words and phrases together, and his style was something that just was unique. I said this before, and the way he dressed and the way he presented himself on stage is just one of a kind, and he's just greatly missed. And I was really deeply saddened when I heard that Prince had passed away. So rest in peace, Prince. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Radio Calling. Join me Tuesday when I dive into my sports aspect of my podcast. I will be covering the NBA playoffs, baseball getting just started up, just about a little bit over a month in, and then the NFL getting ready for the draft. Again, I am Sam. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Radio Calling. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at LondonCalling22, all one word, and we will see you on Tuesday.